back in the comfort of my own home. A lot quieter than at the car show. So we shall see who joins and see how long we want to stay on for here. But I'm glad I got a chance to kind of do a walk around and show you that way. The video I put out earlier today was more still shots of the show, taking in all the beautiful angles of all the different vehicles and the artwork that goes into them. So that's what I wanted to focus in that video. So it was kind of nice to just kind of walk around and do things, just to see the cars. Who just joined? Can you say? Can you say? Can you say? I want to see some people talking and chatting in this. That way I can do some interactions. I should mention, I didn't mention it in the last video, about the question of the month once again. So for the month of April, I've asked you, what is your favorite book and author? So what book are you reading now? You can send in your postcard to the address that's in the context of my videos, and let me know what book you're reading right now. Haven't got any responses in yet, but still early. Well, that being said, it is the 20th of April already. What do I have left to do? Next week, I still have to show you. I got some stamps that came in from a couple different people that sent them in the mail this week. So I will show you what stamps they sent in. I do want to continue to show you what I got at the 10-cent books. So I have that. I have the Reader's Digest books that I want to show you, the postcards and things that are in that. There is a big brown box. Hello, Stephen. Welcome back again. A big brown box of mixed Canadian stamps in here too. I'm not going to go into super detail with these ones, so I probably will tag team this up with something else that I'm showing. Maybe the Canadian or the 10-cent book stuff. I might do that. How are things in Australia, Stephen? I did notice you popped on quickly asking about minis, and then you must have popped off again or went quiet. I didn't see any more messages from you at the time. It was a bit chaotic though, walking around the Coliseum. There were a lot of people. I was trying to be a little bit conscious of where I was pointing the camera and who was getting on the camera. I wanted to show the vehicles more than I wanted to show individual people, but with that many people walking around, it's hard. I came home and my wife is FaceTiming with my daughter, so you might be able to hear them in the other room. Yeah, I said I was only going to be about 10 minutes before I hop back on Ida Marie. I don't live very far away from where the car show is. And it's Moncton after all. There's not a lot of traffic. It's not like living in a big city. Hello, hello. 10 degrees in your part of Australia, Port Lincoln. It is 7 degrees here, so we're not too much different, other than the fact that you're in the middle of the evening. And we are lunchtime. We're not going to get much warmer today. That's what I mean. 1 o'clock in the morning. I just saw something too that Florida is in the middle of a kind of a heat wave going through there in the high 90s already. All those poor people that have went to Disney World are going to be cooking. Well, maybe not poor. Maybe they really enjoy having that much heat already. Fire up the air conditioners. Outback Railroad called the Gahan. You're going to make me look it up now, because now I'm curious about the railroad. And that's the other advantage of being home, is that I have my computer in front of me so I can do things like this. Legendary train and unforgettable Australian adventure travel aboard the Gahan between Adelaide and Darwin. Okay. Now we know. Martin, I don't live too far away. I gave 10 minutes as a roundup of how long it might take me to get home. I hope your answer does arrive in time, Stephen. So that's good. I look forward to it. Welcome back, Martin. Well, we've got 3 people that are chit-chatting, but there's 6 people on, so there's some people that are just watching in the background. I know some people have a hard time figuring out the comments. This might be helpful for some of you that are having problems. If you're on your phone watching YouTube, make sure you're at the you've updated and you're at the latest edition, because sometimes if you're using an older edition, you have problems leaving comments apparently. So something to try out if you want to participate and leave comments, but you're getting error messages. Just update it. I'm looking at the train in the background, the Outback train. Be some beautiful sights along the way. DC 10 minutes, not 10 minutes, but 30. Do you mean saying 10 minutes usually takes 30? Or if someone says that they're going to be back in 10 minutes, yeah. I'll be there in 10 minutes. It really means they'll be there in 30 minutes. I think I may have said that twice. Yeah, I know some places too, the idea when they talk about how far you're going to go, like if I'm going to say I'm going to travel between, how far is it between Moncton and St. John, which is another city here in New Brunswick, rather than saying it's 140 kilometers, we usually say it's about an hour and 15 minutes. You talk about in time value, how long it's going to take to get someplace, rather than in mileage or in kilometers. That's very interesting. Did everybody read that? About Stephen says the Gahan is named after Afghan camelers. Prior to the railway, camels were used for transporting goods due to the hot, dry conditions. I did know that there were camels in Australia, though, that had been brought there and then are now kind of their own thing. And I did know that the mail was delivered by camels at one point, too. And that's where it comes from, I guess. Okay. Didn't know that, Stephen, that because of the railroad, they were just, the camels were let go. And I did know that they were all over the place. You would think Saudi Arabia would have enough of their own camels by now, but Stephen was full of great information. Update my computer here real quick. Turn that. Just saw your comment on the video, Stephen. I'll respond to it later on. Ooh, good question. More camels than kangaroos? If I had to guess, I'd say no, but I am uneducated in that field. Who says we can't learn things by being on YouTube? 12 people on now. Only, well, now we're down to 4. How did we lost 8 people? Like, wow, I offended people just by saying how many were on. Maybe I said learning things. I was like, I'm out. I'm not learning anything. That's one of these channels. Stephen weighs in that there are more kangaroos than camels. When we were in Australia, they kind of said that kangaroos were like our deer, that they're everywhere. And it was prevalent. He said, you know, you go alongside of the road and you'll see kangaroos hopping around along when you're on the train. Can you hear my wife and daughter speaking in the other room? I know I can, but I don't know if the mic picks it up. You think it'd be an interesting fact if there were more camels than kangaroos in Australia? It would change the way we kind of looked at that country, wouldn't it? Kangaroo being the animal we associate most. And koalas too, for that matter. But I'm gonna have to find myself some lunch at some point here too. I went to bed late last night because I stayed up to watch the F1 sprint race that's taking place in China. So it went until about 1 or 1:30 in the morning for me, and then I was awake by 6:30. That's because I normally wake up early, so. See, this is the best time to see kangaroos is around dusk and evening, especially in winter, as they move onto the road for warmth. Well, hopefully not when you're driving. Well, those are some pretty cool animals to have. I mean, Scotland being the unicorn and England being the lion. Yeah, neither one you're going to see too prevalent in those countries. What's the animal for Wales? Here we've got the menacing beaver. Scares every nation in the world that we have a beaver as a national anthem or national animal. I know the eagle's the national bird of the U.S., which they get most of their eagles from Canada. We export eagles like, I guess, Australia exports camels. Oh, dragon. I did know that because it's on their flag. I did know that, yeah. So they've picked 3 animals to represent their countries that you don't see a whole lot of, at least there. And yeah, and Scotland's got the thistle as their their flower, where England has the rose. The comedian Danny Boy does I don't know if you guys have ever heard Danny Boy, the comedian, but he does a fantastic bit about Scotland showing up to pick the flower after a lot of other countries had already picked. And same thing with musical instruments. Different countries of, okay, this will be our instrument. Scotland was kind of late, and what did they pick? If you haven't looked it up, you should look it up. It's funny. I don't do it justice, so I won't do it all. I didn't know that Ben Franklin wanted the turkey, I guess a Thanksgiving representative, but it would be a different kind of, if you had a turkey on everything rather than the bald eagle, wouldn't be as majestic, that's for sure. I think it was good that he was overruled and you guys went with something different. And even in Canada, when we pick the beaver, why don't we pick the moose or something else? I know it's a bit bigger, more menacing, dumb as can be, but I say dumb. I don't really know their capacity of intelligence. Just the way they trot along and the way they act comes across that way. They may be very intelligent animals, so I should apologize for that. Yeah, I'd be curious to see whether Northern Ireland has a different national animal than Ireland does. Finland is the bear. Isn't Russia the bear as well? You guys both, are you both the bear? I guess you've got to have a bunch of duplicates in the world too at this point. But I didn't know Finland was the bear. And thank you, Media. I didn't know you were back on or popped back on, so welcome. So we have Australia, we have England, we have the US and Finland represented now in conversation. It's interesting that you, in your high value wildlife definitives, the beaver isn't represented. Well, the beaver is on our very first stamp, and the beaver has been on several other stamps since. It's on. It just doesn't make an appearance on stamps nearly as much as you'll see the eagle in the US. And Media, sounds like you had a very successful shopping spree at the postcard fair. You're going to enjoy all the stuff you got, I'm sure. And so will other people that you send them to. Steven's being funny with his language again. No, you were right, Media. You were doing the plural of our, as in ours, but the way it is spelt is also the French word for bear, ours. Where do you normally find your postcards, Martin? What kind of shops are you looking in for them? You can send your 5 centimeters of snow to Steven if you like. I am all done with snow for this year, or at least for this part of the year. It might come back again in the later part of the year. I'm ready for sunshine and nice clothes. There you go. Steven's already free some of your snow. I can't believe you still got snow, but it's not unheard of here in April to have had it, but I'm just glad that ours has been gone for a while. And I don't think it's coming back at this point in time. Item Marie doesn't want the snow either. Places that normally get snow or have snow around it, we don't want more snow. I was just checking. I put out a video yesterday about the General Lee from Dukes of Hazzard doing a jump here at the car show, and 1,300 people almost have watched that video. That's crazy. Right, it says in his hometown card shops, the tourist information shops have them. I was in the neighboring city and went all over. It's good they have card shops. We don't have card shops that sell postcards. We have greeting card shops if you want to buy a birthday card or a sympathy card or something like that, but there's no postcards. Mitty, you like the snow though, don't you? You've had a lot more this year than we did for sure. I was having a debate today what shirt to wear. Going to the car show, I was thinking about wearing that one, that red and white one that I have that you guys see sometimes looks like a bowling shirt. But then I realized it probably wasn't going to be warm enough for that. So I went with my New York Yankees golf shirt instead. Well, 6 months. I don't know if maybe have you had snow for 6 months? You might have. Yeah, if you started in November. Yeah, possible, I guess. I'm trying to think when the first snow started here. It was a long time before we had a snowfall this year. And even then when we got it, we didn't get very much. We didn't have any blizzards this year at all. In my city. I mean, yes, there were in Canada, yeah, there were other places that got lots of snow. Nova Scotia, which isn't too far away, they got hit really, really hard in Cape Breton. Oh, so there you go. So you did get snow in November. All right. I was born in October, and the day I was born, there was snow. So it's possible to get snow back into early October as well. I'm guessing in Port Lincoln, he never gets snow. There's a whole bunch of things that are around here. I just want to show you that I've got set up, but I won't. Hi, Megan. How are you? But without ruining future videos, I better not pull them out to show you some of the things that I've got upcoming. But it kills me to have had them for so long and not have shown what's out there. Does Stephen have penguins? You were in Russia, they still had snow in May? Well, that's not unheard of here in Canada either. There's been lots of times that we've had so much snow that the snow piles are still around in early June. Do you have little penguins in Port Lincoln, or are you just saying in Australia as in general? Where would you have to go to see wild penguins, Stephen? Are you saying, some of the islands that are a part of Australia have them on them? Penguins are very cute, yes they are. Trying to see the comments that were coming in the background here. In the mountains in New South Wales and Victoria, there is a fair bit of snow, and there are It's a snow sports industry. Now, when you mean a snow sports industry, do you have downhill skiing, cross-country skiing, tobogganing? What sort of sports? And I ask generally, I don't think of Australia as a snowy country. So, I mean, yeah, you've got mountains. So if you're getting snow, skeleton, luge, bobsled. No, okay. It is good to know. I didn't know that you had all that stuff happening there. So where's the Australians men's hockey team? You should be putting out a strong hockey team if you have wintry stuff. You're getting excited for the Winter Olympics? I'm more excited about the Summer Olympics in Paris right now. But we're learning a bunch of different things about Australia today. So it's a good thing Stephen popped back on. There are good Australian figure skaters, pairs and dance. I did not know that either. But I would expect Maria to know who they were, how well they do. I wonder what sport you get. You've received medals at the Winter Olympics in Australia. I could think of things like luge or skeleton, things like that are kind of crazy sports. That there'd be some Australians that would be just crazy enough to do them. Maybe snowboarding. I would think skateboarding and things would be a big one in Australia. Snowboarding would be maybe an Australian thing for some. I gotta look it up now. We looked up the railroad. Let's look up about Australia and the Winter Olympics. Push that back a little bit. So Australia has won 19 medals at the Winter Olympics. I know that name. Stephen Bradbury won gold at the speed skating one year. Australia's been competing at the Winter Olympics since 1936 and has been in every game since the 1948 ones. So speed skating is what you guys like to do. Australia won its first medal, a bronze, in 1994 at the 5,000 meter short track relay speed skating. You won a bronze in 98 in slalom. All right, there we go. Yes, I know you're very, very dominant in the summer, especially in the pool. Canada does well in the Winter Olympics. We're usually up there in the top 4 countries in medals. Summer, not so much. And I guess it's probably because the whole world is competing really in the summer ones. You don't need to have snow and ice to qualify or train. Welcome, Mark. I think of the torpedo when I think of Australia and the swimming greatness in the pool. So what do we know about St. George's Day? As Mark brings it up. St. George's Day is on the 23rd of April. Saint that slayed the dragon. Hopefully not the Welsh dragon, because that's their national anthem, or national animal. My head is looking very fuzzy in this. I need to shave. We're supposed to be going to get passport pictures soon. We haven't done it yet. I kind of have been holding off to shave until just before we get our passport pictures, so it's nice and clean. Are you thinking of the famous painting of St. George waving his sword with the dragon in the background? Let's look it up. St. George painting. It wasn't a sword. This one is the one I was thinking of. Is that what you were thinking of? It's not a sword, it's a spear. Is that the artwork you were thinking? There are a number of them though, so it may not be that one. Martin, what do you mean? Am I going to need one of what before my trip? A spear? A dragon? A painting? Oh, you might be talking about my passport. Yeah, that's why I'm trying to get the pictures, just to get my passport renewed. It will be expiring this year, so I need to do it before our trip. Yes, our passport's here for 10 years. The 5-year ones are for children because they change so drastically, so theirs only last 5 years. They're also cheaper, which is kind of nice, but because the passports are expensive. Australia has 10-year passports. I wonder if all the Commonwealth is 10-year. Diplomats only get 5 years in the U.S., 10 years for general public. So Martin, will you renew your passport now, or are you just going to wait for your next time that you need one before you do it? Hello, Basil. You seem to have come into this mid-conversation. You're just talking about the weather where you are in Goa. 31 degrees there. Well, hello. Welcome. You're getting a bit of rain there too, but hot temperatures. So muggy. I did go to the show. This is actually the second live. I did a 45-minute live stream from the car show, and then I was have a few connection issues, so decided that we'd stop that one and then just do up another live stream for people that just kind of wanted to have their regular chit chat and not see all the cars in the background. So more of you are now on this one participating than participated in the first one, and I get that not everybody is into cars, so. And there was lots of people around. It was loud. There's music. So you kind of just want to tune in if you wanted to see the cars. It was a good show, though. I put out a video earlier this morning showing the cars in different angles and things like that. Martin, do you have a connection that you were able to get an Irish passport? I know I used to have dual citizenship. I had a British passport as well as a Canadian. I let my British one lapse. I haven't renewed it. All right, Basil, good luck with your cricket match and the team you support. We probably won't run this live too much longer here. And Martin, what part of England are you in now? You're in Essex, southeast, okay. Oh, I know I could get another British passport. Like I said, I just let that one lapse. And the cost of passports, I didn't necessarily need to have another one right now, but certainly if I wanted to get it again, I could get it again. It was funny, early on when my wife and we traveled to Europe, we went, together, but when we got into England, I got into Citizen Lane and got through a lot quicker than she got caught up at the customs, and they were asking where she was planning on staying, and she didn't know the address of the cousins that we were staying at, and so I had to come back and relay all that information to customs. But truth be told, I'm no more British really than she is, so we were both born in Canada. I just was fortunate enough to have a British father, so I had gotten a British passport. Stephen has a dual passports as well, dual citizenship. Yeah, I didn't know whether or not they would let me bring her through that line or not. That's kind of why we went in separate lines. Yeah, customs are always long lines, and that's kind of why I got into the residential line, because it wasn't as long. My father was born in Chelsea, in England. Grew up kind of in the Horsham, Worthing area during the war. He was in London until they started bombing it, and then his parents moved the kids out into the countryside to live with the grandparents. But my grandfather had to stay in London because he worked at the bank, so we had to do things during the air raids and stuff. Martin says St. George's Day is the patron saint of England. Yeah, I did read that. And I do know that it's St. George's Cross. That is one of the parts that makes up the Union Jack. Yeah, I'm sure customs can be quite thorough, and you probably get lots of questions when you came to, well, when you travel anywhere, especially if you're traveling alone, where you're going to be staying and what you're going to be doing. I think it would be lonely traveling by yourself all the time, but if you're the sort of person that adapts and gets used to, meeting new people and socializing, it can be good that way. And you travel on your own schedule too. You're never waiting for somebody. You get up and leave when you want to go, and you eat when you want to eat. So there's definitely advantages too. It's funny when we cross the border going into the U.S. Say we're just going down for the day and we travel into Maine. We usually get a bunch of questions from the U.S. Customs, and then when we come back into Canada, it's like, "Do you have any firearms? What is it? Alcohol or tobacco?" You say no. It was like, "Welcome home. Go on back." Yeah, I'm not sure if Chelsea was the posh spot when my father was born there back in the early 30s. So it may have developed as a community since then. That's the team that he does support when it comes to football, though. He's a Chelsea fan. Yeah, you always get a little bit nervous when you travel and you have to come into border security and the things they're going to ask. I know we traveled from Australia to New Zealand, and they asked if we had anything to declare, and didn't really have anything to declare. Asked what you're bringing in. One of the things that I had bought was some crocodile jerky, beef jerky, and I was bringing it back for a friend to Canada. And when we got to New Zealand, they said nope, they confiscated it. Said can't bring that into our country. Oh, okay. It was freeze dried in a package. It wasn't going to be open, but them's the rules. Yeah, even when you've got nothing to be nervous about traveling into a different country because you're not doing anything illegal or bringing anything in that you shouldn't be, you always kind of like, oh, what are they going to ask? What are they going to do? Should have stood there and eaten it. Yeah, maybe they would have allowed me to do that. I don't know, but I hadn't bought it for me. I'd bought it for a friend. Oh, the other thing too that we bought didgeridoos. I had a couple of those, and they said we couldn't bring them into New Zealand, but what they did do is they held them at the airport in a special locker, and so when we flew out, we had to stop and pick them up to fly out with them. So they didn't destroy them; they held them until we left. I don't know why they wouldn't hold the jerky until we left, but because it's not like it was going to go bad. We were only there for a week. It was a very quick trip to visit my aunt in Auckland and do a little touring around. But yeah, luckily the didgeridoos didn't get destroyed. Adam Marie says just the border agents are toughies. Yeah, they seem to have almost ultimate power on what they can do to you. They can rip your car to pieces and don't have to put it back together again, just if they suspect that you're doing something. Even if you didn't, it's like, oh well, now you got to do it. You could be cavity searched. You could be there's all sorts of things they can get away with doing, and there's no seems to be any repercussions if they do it without cause. Mark's got all the patron saints for the British Empire. Well, Great Britain, anyways. So what's Northern Ireland if we've got Wales, Scotland, and England covered. What's Northern Ireland? Patron saint. Do they get St. Patrick just like Ireland does? Wow. Vegemite got confiscated because it could have been a bomb because it was paste. Okay, I'm lost a little bit, Martin. Is the game called 2 Up? I don't know that game. So Northern Ireland has St. Patrick's Day as well. Okay. Do you think Ireland and Northern Ireland will ever be one? That's a loaded question to throw out there into the world. Now I gotta look up 2 Up. I don't know what this game is that you guys are talking about. It's not coming up here. Traditional Australian gambling game involving a designated spinner throwing 2 coins, usually Australian pennies. Okay. I get it now. All right. Does it have to be Australian pennies? Guess it was an Australian game. It makes sense. It's not really a game you had to. Doesn't cost you anything other than the coins to play with, but then you can spend them later on. What biscuits do you want to make, Martin? Nadia says she had a dynamite-looking candy from a Nobel museum in Stockholm, and nobody minded it was allowed to keep it. I hope it was delicious. You know me and candy and sweets and pastries and things like that. Anzac biscuits are a kind of oat biscuit. Okay. I'm going to look that up next. We are going to play this game all the way through. Ooh, they look crispy. Interesting. Okay, you can send some this way. I'll try them. All right. I think we're going to draw this live stream to an end. We've had 2, and this is just kind of a bonus one here. So I want to thank everybody who continued to pop on, and those of you who came on later just to say hello. I always enjoy these Saturday chats and learn lots of new things. What did Stephen just say? People who play 2 up usually bet on how the coins will fall face up, face down. One of each technically banned and illegal, but please look the other way on Anzac Day. Okay. So everybody, have a magical week.